Good day to you, my friend. Welcome to the Goddess Breath podcast. I'm Dr. Mari Castle, and thank you for tuning in and listening. I always appreciate that you are following and listening to the ancient story of the goddess Inanna, along with and how that story can help us with our own development or as a mirror, and then doing some fun breathing techniques together. So, let's start with a breathing technique right now. Like just jump right into it because where I'm at right now is this called the fire breath. And I'm feeling that fire myself. And the fire breath is really good for the solar plexus chakra. As you know, I'm sharing with you about the different chakra energies pertaining to Inanna's story and how they can also help us with our personal development, but just checking in on, where we're at, what we can let go of, what we no longer need that is keeping us stuck or holding us back, and then utilizing um, the knowledge of the chakras to really be able to clear away the blocked, stuck energy and then fill that with healthy, positive aspects to help us feel more whole, more fulfilled, and to continue to grow because growth is a part of life, especially as we know if we have challenges. So let's do a fire breath. This one's kind of fun. It's not easy. Not everybody gets this one, but it's fun to try it. So it's in the solar plexus. So that's like this area. I'm standing up in the video and just showing right underneath my rib cage, and then um, and then you're gonna. That's the diaphragm. So that's where we typically do some breathing. And it's kind of, you do this as fire breathing because you're doing this like inhale and exhale through the nose, and you're pumping from this diaphragm area. It's actually an energy center, but we'll call it the diaphragm. So you're kind of pumping from there. And then that gets your energy to be fired up. And, if you need a little boost uh, in your day, if you want more sense of awareness or to, it's like drinking a cup of coffee almost to get things going and really feel like the energy's moving. You want that energy to be moving. So let's go ahead and do this then. And you're just going to pump, maybe put your hand on your, just below your rib cage, just below, like you feel your rib cage, but like in the center and just below. And then closing your mouth. And I'm going to show you. And you're closing your mouth and just breathing in and out through your nose. So the inhale is not as strong as the exhale. The exhale is much stronger. And then you're pumping from, so you're actually using the movement, if you can, in this part of your torso, like right under the rib cage, the diaphragm area. All right, so just do this with me. Just have fun, and whatever you feel, you're gonna probably feel some sort of a little bit of energy. So we'll just do this for a little while. You don't want to do this one too long, and I'll go ahead and begin. I have my hand on my chest, so I know to keep lower my lower body moving, not my chest muscles. pulling my shoulder blades back and down. My inhale is not that strong. It's mostly my exhale. Some inhale, but mostly exhale. And you might start to feel sore around your abdominal area, like in the upper part of your abdominal area. You might start to feel some, like you feel your muscles moving. And a nice deep inhale through the nostrils. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale again. One more time. And use that sigh. Yeah. Okay. So again, I have a breathwork and transformation course. It's a self-paced online course that you can utilize to learn all different breathwork techniques at your leisure. Find which one works best for you, which one you like, which one you can just pull out of your pocket. That you need. Maybe you need one for feeling more inspired or energetic, or maybe you need one to calm down and relax or to sleep. I'll do one at some point for that as well. So, yeah, I'm moving forward in Inanna's story and sharing with you from where I left off in the last episode, to that she is on her boat of heaven, fighting all the villain creatures that are trying to take away the power of civilization. And she makes it to her city. And I will share with you from my book, particularly how it goes. And it says here, finally, at the seventh gate, the holy May were unloaded at the universe, all as the universal laws were unloaded. Universal laws. It's interesting to have that concept. Wouldn't that be great if we had universal laws? They were announced and presented to the people of Sumer. More laws appeared than what Enki had given Inanna. Inanna brought allure, the art of woman and perfect execution. She brought the drums and the art of ritual and ceremony. Inanna brought the placing of the garment on the ground. Lastly, Enki spoke to Inanna, saying, in the name of my holy power, in the name of my holy shrine, let the May, M-E, Holy May, you have taken with you remain in this holy shrine of your city. Let the high priest and priestess spend their days on the holy shrine in song. Let the citizens of your city prosper. Let the children of Uruk rejoice. Let the city of Uruk be restored to its great place. The reason for the restore is because the flood had come through there. So that's another thing. And uh, that is such a great celebration. So the whole city then breaks out in song and dance and ritual, excitement. And you could just imagine the big festival that goes on with the celebration of Inanna's return with the powers of civilization to her city. So let's think about some of this a little bit. And what I want to point out here that I finished with in the last episode is how important it is to have this sense of strength, control, power, right, of our emotions, to be solid, to be grounded in our beingness. And opposite of that, and I apologize here, just I lost my place when I looked at my other part of my book, that Enki, if we think about um, Enki, and that he has this twist, right? Of where he's happily giving Inanna the powers of civilization, and then he is all of a sudden uh, not okay with it. He wants to take it back. That and then you know how the two varying between them react, right? So we have to think about both parties, both the masculine aspects and the feminine aspects. This is important. This is more out of my second book, but I just want to point them out. So when I say this about the masculine and feminine energies, I'm talking about not male and female. I'm talking about our own internal masculine energy and feminine energy. And if you're familiar with Carl Jung's work, it's the anima and the animus in our the balance of our masculine and feminine integration. So Anki then has this sense of antagonism, right? He comes forth antagonistic. And in the end, I see it as his way of challenging Inanna to see if she meets the test, passes the test. But it also can be seen in many ways of how people show up, that they become very reactive. And then I can see it as, especially like um, a male leader that is in power and has control over people and civilizations and cities. And I can think of a couple of different male leaders, but I'm not going to say any names. So, what I want to say is that um, it reflects our defensive nature when we become antagonistic, when we're reactive, we become defensive. And this therein has to do with the somebody that's in control and power and leadership can be called the tyrant. So there's a quote from this is New Self, New World, Philip Shepard's book, and he talks about um, the he describes the power hungry ego and the cycle of turmoil one may undergo. The fears that have centered us in our heads are the fears that create the tyrant. And the central fear that creates the tyrant is a fear of the female. The tyrant segregates himself from the uncontrollable vagaries of being and seeks always to fortify what is mine, intent on preserving it from a world of ceaseless change. Whenever that fancy of what is rightfully his is at odds with the world, he will seek to arrest or subjugate the world just as he has subjugated the body. And this is a basic impulse of tyranny. I hope that makes sense to you. I want to also say that what happens in the solar plexus chakra has to do with, and this is where we're at now, is the solar plexus chakra, has to do with being in a space of leadership or bringing forth manifestations of our gifts to the world. And if we're doing that from a self centered perspective or mannerism rather than a selfless perspective, there's a big difference. And we see that in leaders, it's evident, especially, people that are really high up and have a lot of followers and people that want to do good versus people that are really wanting to control. And when we're talking about the energy centers, it's all here in the solar plexus chakra. And this really makes a difference because when we keep moving this energy forward, uh, hopefully it moves forward from the root, the growth that I'm saying with the tree and the sprout and the creativity and the water flowing. And then now we're in the solar plexus chakra, and this is the fire element. That's why we did the fire breath technique. Um, it's just like it can really be outpouring of what we're doing in the world, and that's somewhat our purpose. But if we don't have a sense of doing it because we're in a collective community, we're with other people, it's not just about me, 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 I, then we're not probably going to move up into the heart chakra space. And then, that's a whole nother episode that I'll stop not going, I won't go into there. But it's important to say that and to talk about that because that's where the movement starts to go. And there's this really awesome, um, it's a, what's it? It's a beautiful image picture that I've seen it actually in the museums. And Joseph Campbell talks about this picture in the inner reaches of outer space. It's in this particular image is in the Book of the Dead. It's the Egyptian judgment scene. And I'm just bringing this briefly up here where he says, um, the swallower is set to eat the soul of the heart that weighs heavier than the feather. So there's like the alligator sitting there, and that if the heart and the feather are weighed against each other, and that I said I wasn't going to go into this, but a little bit that, air is the heart chakra. So then if the heart then is lighter than the feather, the movement is upward. But if the heart is heavier, then it moves, it stays there and it just stays and regurgitates basically, and you just kind of regurgitate in that those three lower centers of your um, energy. If we believe in all of this, the energy centers of our body. So it's very interesting to think about that and what are we doing with our lives and in our community, and how, like I said, we are showing up, and how do we want to be seen, and all of this is very important. So for particularly if we think of women that women who organize support groups and are in community with service events have, they're there out of just basically their willingness and wanting to create an environment for the whole, for the collective. Um, and they have a healthy solar plexus chakra. Now, some women with not so healthy solar plexus chakra could be those powerhouse women in uh, the corporate world, and they maybe show up more masculine than they would normally, uh, then they would be more integrated or more balanced. They show up more like they're um, power hungry, and they show up out of their ego. Not that the ego is bad. We need our egos, but healthy ego versus an unhealthy ego is super important. And that is where Inanna is in her story. She is there to bring to the collective, the gifts that are going to help the her city, the city of Urich, prosper and thrive and have a good time doing it with singing and dancing and basically the extra gifts that she received, this transformation that happened over her time of standing her ground and being in her power, um, transformed into like more like of the blossom, right, of the just like the lotus just really poofing out, and that beauty, that sense of beauty, the beauty of life, and that we have all these gifts that are available to us. It's just a matter of seeing them and not getting disgruntled and not feeling our defensive nature and being uh, always in that negative mindset loop of, oh, they've done this to me, I'm the victim, right? How do you want to show up? Do you want to show up empowered? Do you want to show up in all your fullness, or do you want to hold on and harbor and feel like you have things that are what people did to you, and that your life is just constantly met with um, difficulties that you cannot overcome, and that it's not anything that you did, it's what people did to you. It's all a perspective. It's all a perspective. So we'll be getting to this. I just wanted to throw this particular episode in and keep it pretty quick. And now, next time we meet, and I'm hoping to have an interview with a gentleman, or I have another interview I'm scheduling with a woman that are bringing just so many gifts to our youth, to our younger generations. I'm super excited about those interviews. So I hope to uh, connect with you next time. And thanks for staying on this episode flow and with the podcast. And yeah, check in on these interviews that are upcoming. Really, really interesting people. So I hope to check in with you then. All right. Have a great day. Be well and blessings.